Hello, everyone. This is Rick Latona, and this is the open house presentation of modernfurniture.fm. I am joined by Roger Schnurr, the owner and the seller of the site. Roger, thanks for joining us.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
But before we get into this, let me just show everybody this slide in case they're having a hard time with audio, so they can read it, and to tell everybody else, if you have any questions, just use the chat feature in the GoToMeeting, GoToWebinar software, and I'll see the question and I'll ask it at the appropriate time if I know that the conversation has something about that coming up, or I'll ask it at the end if it's something that's not already prepared for. And with that, let's kind of get into it. The deal we're looking at, it's an e-commerce site. It's a small one, but a profitable one, and it's selling at a good multiple. So it's $14,000 a year in profit, selling at $24,900. That's really the big highlight here. The site, Roger, maybe you can help us kick off the meat of the conversation here by just telling us the history of it, why you started it, when you started it, what's the general story?
Okay, thanks. I started it back last year in somewhere around March, April, and went live towards the end of May. And I had done e-commerce for a very long time, selling a variety of different types of products. And one of the things that I had done previously that I had learned was I didn't want to be caught up selling low-priced items, even if it's a high volume, because it means a lot of work. So I had done some research and found that the furniture category is, fits what I wanted to do with a furniture with an e-commerce website. That is, have high-ticket items with a decent profit margin that would be fairly easy to fulfill via drop shipping. I didn't want to do anything in-house again, like I had done in the past. And in essence, it really was something I thought that I would build and hand off to my wife to take over. Unfortunately, she got tied up doing some other things, and I've gone to some other projects have come my way that require me to, based on contracts, to provide 100% of my time. And I know I'm answering a question that may come up a little later as to why I'm selling. But the initial purpose for starting the site was to build a business to hand off to my wife that would be easy for her to manage, make some money for her, and with a category that although it's competitive, by using some new technology that I had some ideas on developing, would make us more competitive and make the site profitable fairly quickly.
It's interesting. I remember in the mid-'90s when Furniture.com first went out of business, and the shipping infrastructure wasn't really ready. But everybody knew that there was high-price items, and that eventually there'd be a big e-commerce business for it. And, I know right now I've got a lot of furniture domain names, and the click prices are through the roof. I mean, the traffic's valuable. A lot of people want it. So what do you do for fulfillment and inventory and drop shipping, all that stuff?
Well, I've got three primary manufacturers that do all the drop shipping. So it's their inventory. It ships directly out of their warehouses, which are located in different parts of the country. Some in California, some in Florida, one in Illinois. And as far as shipping goes, we build it into the cost. It's in the shopping cart. Right now, because there's so many different shapes and sizes of furniture and weights, this shipping is the one area that's a little tougher to calculate, where you might, if you had just regular smaller boxes where you could do an API integration with UPS or FedEx with the weight and dimensions. So this requires a little bit more massaging, if you will. So we have some default numbers that autofill in the cart, And if they're off target with the order, like a glass item, might be more expensive than what our default number is, we do reach out to the customer and let them know that there is an additional charge because it's a fragile item, it has to be shipped, you know, with freight and specially packed. And more often than not, they do ante up the money. These are people that are already spending a lot of money in the first place. So to spend an extra couple of dollars to make sure something arrives unbroken, they're willing to do. In other cases, if the item is less expensive to ship, we also reach out to the customer and let them know that we can save them some money on the shipping, and they're very appreciative of that.
So
So
I assume that there's not like because of the dollar size of the orders, you don't need a lot of orders. So you're taking, correct me if I'm wrong, but you're taking each one and kind of manually processing it and placing the order at the drop shipping companies, right? It's not like an automated thing.
yeah, this is not a set it and forget it kind of business. You know, and anyone who thinks e-commerce works that way, you know, hasn't had their elbows up, you know, elbow deep into e-commerce. You have to be involved with some part of the selling or fulfillment cycle. And with furniture, it makes sense to do that, especially in this vertical, because I can tell you that there are competitor websites out there that don't do that. And more, you know, there are times when I will get a phone call from somebody who says, I tried reaching these people, or they're giving me all the wrong information, or they don't speak English, and they're very grateful that there's somebody on the other end of the line that can not only get the answers to them quickly, but, you know, get them what they are looking for. You know, remove that friction or choke point that they've experienced possibly, you know, from another website.
Speaking of personal involvement, I see there's a phone number on the top of the page. You take that yourself?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. Who
All
else is
calls come directly to me, and if the customer leaves a message, it gets forwarded to my cell phone. So I do make myself available. I don't look like the woman up there, but you know, I did a survey a long time ago with a blonde spokesmodel and a brunette, and 9 out of 10 responses were use the blonde. So I'm using the blonde.
I could have told you that without save the survey money.
So, but it's you know, it again, you know, the logo has kind of like that Mad Men feel to it. The attractive face at the top gives a warm and friendly touch to, you know, because modern furniture itself is somewhat, you know, sharp lines, very contemporary, not really um, very. It's not warm kind of furniture. And so when people see that up top, they feel a little more comforted in knowing that they can reach out to somebody. But yeah, that rings to me, and it's good. I would highly recommend that whoever takes advantage of buying the site, definitely make your phone number prominent because people are going to call you. And don't be surprised if you get phone calls from people saying, do you have this in stock and how much will it cost to ship to me?
Sure.
That's the most common question. Chances are, because and I know we'll drill down into the comparison shopping in a moment, but most of the people are finding us because they're shopping around. They're looking for an item. They're looking for it to
It's
be in
something
stock.
specific, right?
Yeah. So I mean, I have a pad and pen next to me, and every customer that calls in, I ask them their first name, I ask them their phone number, I ask them their zip code, and then I have a space open for the item that they're interested in, and I have that so it reminds me to ask those questions as well, so I don't have to call them back and say, oh, by the way, what's your zip code? Because I've got my suppliers on speed dial. So as soon as I hang up with that customer, I can pick up the phone, hit one button, get connected to my rep, and tell them the SKU number and the zip code, and they will tell me within a few seconds if it's in stock, when it will be in stock, if it's not in stock, and what the shipping cost will be. And it's valuable to have that kind of information at your fingertips, because when you turn around and call a customer back in 5 minutes or 10 minutes, you know, they're more likely to do business with you. And that's what they're looking for. You know, they need immediate response from you. And if you can provide that, then you'll get the orders.
Yeah, I think that's the same in any business. So, um, let's see. The just so everybody's aware, the main the site is actually, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Roger, but the site is actually modern-furniture.myshopify.com, and modernfurniture.fm redirects to that, correct?
Correct. Correct.
And I wanted to point that out in case anybody that's listening is sitting there using industry tools like Majestic SEO or SEMrush and trying to figure out what's going on, because I had done the same thing and kind of figured it out. But this isn't a bad thing. Shopify is a great company. If I was going to launch a new e-commerce business, start from scratch today, I would use Shopify. They're like the best out there, and um, and what we have here is a success story example of a Shopify website. Um, so what has your experience been like with Shopify, Roger?
There.
Yeah, sorry, my internet's spotty, which is not good when I'm trying to do an open house presentation.
Okay. You're back on. We can hear you. Go
Well,
ahead.
what was the last thing you guys
Well,
heard?
you're talking about the backlinks
Oh
not
yeah,
really
well
being there.
I was just saying it's not a bad thing because if I was going to start an e-commerce business today, I would use Shopify myself. They are kind of currently the best out there. So um I had said a whole bunch of other stuff. It's kind of embarrassing that this has happened, but look, the bottom line is, Roger, I was going to ask you to tell everybody what your Shopify experience has been like.
Yeah. I think Shopify has been an excellent platform. And I will share with everybody. My first experience with e-commerce was when I had my own software custom coded back in 2000, written in Cold Fusion. And I had my own server and did half the stuff I had drop shipped, half the stuff I had my own fulfillment in-house. And I had developers working for me all the time doing adding the next feature that I wanted, whether it was APIs weren't even there yet, but being able to import spreadsheets with inventory and upload them, or being able to drop ship to different locations, or send orders off to different locations. It's come a long way since I left, sold that off a while ago and re-entered the e-commerce business. And the Shopify platform, they seem to be doing a very, very good job in addressing just about all the needs that you might have. The other thing is that the development area of Shopify with third-party developers who are creating different apps is growing very rapidly also. And just to attest to, and I don't work for Shopify, I'm not getting a commission from them by saying this, but they're adding about 4,000 new e-commerce sites to their platform a month. And they wouldn't be doing that if they weren't doing something right. And I've touched Magento, I've touched Volusion, I've looked at others as well. And every e-commerce platform has certain things that work well for it and others, and they all have something that has gaps where you're like, gee, I wish it would do this. And you hope that there was a developer out there. The one thing I'll tell you about Shopify is it's really e-commerce for dummies. It's so simplified, and the ability to navigate their dashboard is so easy that there is a very, very quick learning curve with this particular platform. And from that, I can tell you from many years of frustration and having to create things on my own, it's a good thing to have this platform
Sure.
to be able to work for. And we've actually developed a specific app for this platform, so we are on the development side as well.
Great. Yeah, because that's the big thing I wanted to get across on this call, and I already see people uh, asking some questions, and we're going to come back to this a couple times, um, you know, regarding how it's getting traffic and the platform it's on and the domain and stuff like that. So, but the site is a hosted solution on Shopify. And the location of it is modern-furniture.myshopify.com, and then of course modernfurniture.fm pulls it up. Uh, Someone's asking though, out of curiosity, Any particular reason you chose the .fm domain?
That's a good question. I wanted modern furniture as in the URL, and all of us know that SEO-wise, not a bad idea to have the name of your vertical somewhere in your URL. And .com was taken, all the others were taken. I've done some different internet radio projects, and I knew of .fm, which is actually, for those of you who don't know, it's the Federated Islands of Micronesia, the country code. But I was able to secure it. So to get modern furniture in your URL after the www, I thought it was a real great find.
Sure. So take us through these next 4 screenshots that you sent. What are we looking at?
Well, those are all the orders that were processed and fulfilled. It's starting in the last day of May last year through this month.
Here's page 2, page 3.
Stop there 1 second. When you see, I'll make just a statement. When you look, because people are going to be looking at this wondering, why were people refunded? Those were specific situations where product was ordered without contacting us ahead of time. They just went through and did it, which is fine. But the items were not going to be available until 60 to 90 days later, and the customers didn't want to wait either because they had a restaurant that was opening, and one of them had ordered a bunch of chairs, and we weren't going to be able to make their deadline. In other cases, it was really just a matter of not being able to get the inventory to them in the time that they wanted it. The ones where you see partially paid, those are situations where we only processed our price for the product and the price for the actual shipping. So where the default shipping may have shown up as, let's say, $250, which is what we use for items between 500 and 1,000, the shipping may have only cost 100 or 150. So we would not have processed the complete amount that we were authorized by the buyer at the time that they placed the order. Because when we process credit cards and they place the order, it's only an authorization. We're not capturing until we review the order. So it's a 2-step process for us. That I just wanted to clarify, so in case anyone had any questions, what they're saying there.
Sure. I want to go ahead and clear out one of the questions that's pending here, which was who updates all the products and how user-friendly is it? And I believe that the answer is that you update it, and it's extremely user-friendly with the whole speech about Shopify.
Yeah, I'm the one who's I'm chief cook and bottle washer, and for the most part, the updates from when I launched it in early second quarter last year, the next set of updates I really did in January when the new product lines were released. Zuo was a very good example. They had a lot of new stuff that came out, and so I get their discontinue list. We delete it out and upload the new products. There are 2 ways of doing it. One is you could just log in and copy and paste one by one into the website. Another way of doing it is using a common delimited spreadsheet and building it out that way. And then you could do a mass import. And it's whatever you feel more comfortable doing.
Okay. And what's this? Is there anything particularly interesting about this 4th screen?
No, that's just the most current orders. They're not fulfilled, or orders that are, those are people who don't have a problem waiting for their product. There are some items that will be arriving in July or early August, so they're not going to show as having been fulfilled, but they have been processed and the order's been placed.
What is the average ticket size? Do you know off the top of your head?
Okay, well, you can see here. It's.
I could add them up and divide them, but I was just. It looks like about.
I mean, off the top of my head, I don't know if I have a specific number. Maybe 800. If you were to have these at 1,000,
okay,
you could average it up. Which is a lot better than selling, having to sell 100 bags of cat litter for $15.
Well, it makes it worth answering the phone when someone calls.
Exactly. When you know you're going to make $200 to $400 per phone call,
That's
versus
that's yeah, that's the lesson I'm getting because I mean your
yeah,
statement in the beginning that you can't open up an e-commerce store and just expect everything to do itself any more than you can open up a store on Main Street and expect everything just to work out great without someone behind the counter. So if that's the reality, then you're right. You need a big ticket item to justify the time.
yeah. Even if you do small ticket items, most suppliers now, the Shopify software is designed to send an email to the drop shipper. Um, Two of the three that I work with now require that we enter the orders on their portal. So you have to key it in manually.
Because they want to make sure that you've talked to them or that you're involved.
No, they want the order automated. They don't want to have to key it in.
Gotcha.
They want the order in their system because they have certain automations on their side. So do you want to you want to earn your $200, $300, $400 keying in an order? Absolutely. It doesn't take that much to copy and paste an order in. Versus and the
I
reason why I keep
imagine
going
if you
back
were
to
doing extreme volume, that you could just program an API to pipe it to them in the format that they want to. But
you think that they would be set up to do that. You'd be surprised how many suppliers are still technically woefully behind.
okay.
If you and I were the IT, were the head of the IT departments, absolutely it would be done.
Sure. So
But that's not the case. So
everybody's been staring at this big spike on the screen, and we haven't talked about it yet. We should probably satisfy their curiosity.
okay.
So what's the big spike on the screen?
Big spike on the screen was it was a huge rush of orders that came in May for outdoor furniture. The weather started getting warm. People started realizing they wanted to get a new patio table and chairs and lounge chairs, outdoor sofas, and we just had this onslaught that came in May that blew me away. The phone didn't stop ringing, which was awesome. It was a nice little bump.
That's great. I mean, how has June been? Because we don't have these finalized numbers. Is it similar to May, or is it back down to reality?
It's back down to reality. It's more than it was in any other month. June. June might be in the somewhere between 6 and 7,000, where previous months were like around the 5,000 average
Got it.
number.
Okay.
Now, I will tell everybody that April did
so
see.
So June would be the second highest month on this chart once it's added.
Yeah. There's still some momentum going, and I would expect it to continue to grow. I think May was just in particular a seasonal spike because of the oncoming warm weather.
Mm-hmm.
No different than in fourth quarter if you were selling electric trains, that between November 15th and December 15th you would see a huge spike in electric trains, or the way 800 Flowers sees with flowers just before Valentine's Day.
I have a feeling that there's probably some people listening that would dig into Google Analytics and some other things and maybe find some other reasons. And I'm expecting, and the reason I'm bringing it up is because I'm expecting that the other reasons for the spike and the higher than average numbers in June are good. That maybe you got better placement in some of these shopping feeds or whatnot. I don't know.
There's no way to dictate your placement in a shopping feed other than price.
Okay.
And with somebody who does a search on that, or hits a button to sort by price.
Okay. Well, we're gonna talk about that in just a minute.
Okay.
I can't believe the technical difficulties I'm having. Now my cordless mouse just died, and I need to get to the next screen. All right. Fun times. All right, here we go.
See, you go away for a week, and this is what happens.
Yeah, exactly. So So let's see. I'll charge my I'll charge my mouse when we talk about this screen. So expenses. Obviously, the spike is in line with the revenue.
Yeah, it's relative. Hmm.
So does this include cost of goods? Are you calling that an expense, or is this other types of expenses?
Uh, there weren't any other expenses except for cost of goods and
Okay.
shipping.
All right. All right.
I don't know if you have all. I don't think that expenses is the cost of goods in there though.
No, actually, it probably is shipping since it's furniture related. There was I kind of stumped both of us with that question. There is
Yeah, that's probably
a
just shipping
yeah
and the small fee that I paid to Shopify.
yeah. Here's directly from the Latona's website. Everybody, here's the cost of goods chart. So the cost of goods would have been 12,700. Now it looks like about 4,000 in expenses. Okay, so everything's in line. And then of course the traffic numbers. This was a pretty interesting chart.
Yeah, let me show.
Um,
Let me explain what that dip is. Um, throughout first quarter, I had a lot of people, a lot of phone calls I would get. People would be like, "Oh, is your shipping for free? Why aren't you offering free shipping? Everyone else is." And I said to them, I said, it's not free. You're not paying free ship. Shipping's not free to you. They're just building the price of the shipping into the cost that you're paying. So if I'm offering you an item for $1,000 and they're selling it for 1,300 with free shipping, it's the same thing. And they're
right.
like, well, I like the word free. That's what one woman told me. She said, I think you'll do better. So I thought to myself, okay, you know what? Let me play their game. Let me test it, see what happens. So I boosted up all the prices to 195% cost of goods, where my average is somewhere around 135 to 140% of the cost of goods. That's the gross profit margin I'm looking to do on the pricing. And an interesting thing happened. I wound up getting one or two orders, and that was it. And that explains the dip. So for me, the free shipping promotion didn't do well. Maybe I marked it up a little too high. I don't know. But, I'm not in the business to lose money, so I wasn't going to mark it up only a little bit where I'm only making $1
So
on
if
a sale.
your traffic comes from shopping feeds, then you have to have a hook. It's got to be, like you said, it's all price driven. So ultimately, you got to be on the top of the list. The only way to do that is low numbers, but you can't include
Exactly.
shipping.
Yeah. And so there's this balancing act that you have to have. And so I dropped the free shipping promotion, and then May happened,
So
which was a welcome.
in most traditional businesses, if you have like a loss leader or you have something that's almost like a break even just to get people in the door, your hope is to upsell them on all these other items. Are you in that situation? What do you try to upsell people on once they get to you?
Yeah, there's really no upsell on this. There's people are looking for a very specific item. It's not like a weight loss system where you're upselling them a cleansing diet for when they start it,
Hmm.
or batteries with the device. When I was doing radio-controlled hobby products, we would always upsell batteries or fuel, or things like that. With furniture, there really isn't an upsell opportunity.
Not
Um,
even like
other than
protection plans, warranty stuff, spray it down in case the cat pees on it. Nothing.
Yeah, but when you're selling a $1,400 couch, you can upsell a bottle of cleaner for $30. You know, it's almost not worth it. Plus, I want everything shipping from one location. If I have to start, shipping out little things to go along with it, it's got to come from somewhere else. It changes the shipping price. I wanted to keep it simple. I did not want to overcomplicate it. So there really isn't an upsell. I did not employ an upsell with this. If somebody else has other ideas, God bless you. Run with it.
Right on. Here is the last 12 months of analytics for everybody to look at. stability and growth. Looks like it took well, it's probably most likely a seasonal downturn um, for a little while there, and then got back on track, and it's been kind of growing since. But then again,
Well, no,
that
Rick,
could
Rick,
have.
one second. That April is the April dip from the free shipping promotion that did not work.
Okay, got
That's
it.
what you're
Well,
seeing there.
I was kind of referring to this more like a 2-inch spread here. It's kind of not just this one
Yeah, I think
particular dip.
if you cut that out and connected May to
Right.
March, you'd see the continuation, like you say.
Gotcha. Gotcha. So so if so let's talk about product feed search marketing. Um, I mean, how do you increase it? I mean, the only way you can really increase your traffic is by adding more products, right?
Yeah. hmm
So tell us how the whole thing works, or kind of a Reader's Digest version.
Okay, so the beauty of this is that you don't have to play the organic search game. You don't have to play the AdWords game, which are
It's
both
immediate.
costly.
It's immediate. You put it in
It's
place, and
immediate.
there's the traffic.
Well, first of all, you got to sign up with Google Merchant Center. You have to get approved by them, which, there is an approval process. Um, and you have to provide them with a data feed that is in their, file spec. Um, there is an app uh, within the Shopify ecosystem with a developer that actually helped him fine-tune the app before he went live with while he was in beta. We used Modern Furniture as the test site to do it, and it's a phenomenal product. The guy did a great job with it, and basically the process is an export of products goes to this app, which restructures it into the file spec that Google's looking for. One of the things that takes the most amount of time when configuring your data feed are the product categories. If you're just selling one type of product, it's easy. But when you're selling, different types of furniture, you can't just put furniture. Google wants to see outdoor sofas. They want to see, love seats. They want to see lamps. They want to see bedroom furniture. Every product that you have has to be assigned a specific category within the Google taxonomy, and that takes a little bit of time. What this particular app does, it has a wizard that looks for, in Shopify, your products are in what are called collections, which is another term for categories. And it looks at the name of the collection and tries to match it to a collection or to a name within the Google taxonomy so it can assign that for you. So it's a wizard that gets about 75% of the work done for you. And then you've got to go through everything and double check it to make sure that everything's been assigned correctly. Then when the data feed is done, you just have to copy and paste the URL into the Google Merchant Center, upload it. Google will evaluate it. It'll point out whether you've repeated a product. It will point out if the title is too long, too many characters. It will show you other things that might need to be fixed in the data feed. So it's very helpful in that respect. And then once it's all approved, it goes into their system. And you are now in the Google Shopping portal for everyone to see your products. A few things that are interesting. Google now requires, Google Shopping used to be free. Back in October, they required people to pay for what are called product listings. And their explanation for it was there were a lot of stores that were not updating their information. There was a lot of junk, and they wanted to clean out the dead wood. And that left them with about a little more than 100,000 stores that were qualified to be in Google Shopping. And we have to pay now for every time somebody clicks. But the difference between a product listing click and an AdWords click is that an AdWords click is you're being billed based upon what you're willing to pay to have your listing ranked. So if you're willing to pay $3 a click, you'll be higher versus somebody who only wants to pay $1 a click and may only show up on page 2 or 3 in the right-hand side. Product listings is entirely different. It's not based upon what you're willing to pay. It's based on what the price of your product is, especially if somebody starts sorting it, and that's what shopping's really all about. It's comparison shopping.
So you're not paying?
I'm paying a penny a click.
That's it.
That's it.
Everybody pays a penny a click?
I don't know. Only if you're smart, you're only paying a penny a click.
Well, what would someone dumb do that would put them in a different category?
They may listen. I can't explain other people's thought process, but some people may think, "Hey, this is AdWords. I'll do better if I pay more a click."
So you're saying you can just bid a penny, price your product lower than everybody else, and you'll be on top because look, Google cares about RPM. They care about their revenue per thousand impressions of any item on the page. So if it's got a really high click-through rate at a low click amount, then they're making their money. So what I'm hearing for you is that if you're on the top, you're going to get clicked so much that there's no reason to bid that much.
I don't need to. I put in a penny when they started charging, and they didn't say you can't do this. They didn't say your minimum click is 10 cents or $1 or whatever. They never did that. And when I talked to my rep at Google, they basically said to me, they said, you know what, Roger? 100,000 stores using Google Shopping is minute compared to the total amount of people that use AdWords. And we're still finding our way through this. And I don't think Google Shopping is important enough to Google, to be honest with you, to try to squeeze people for money. This is my opinion. I've actually floated the idea to them because a lot of businesses left the shopping, and some people, if you look at the boards, they complain about, oh, now the Google's trying to charge us. I said to Google, I said, look, why don't you just charge people an annual fee to be on Google Shopping and require them, if they do opt for that payment method, require them to go through your billing process, and you take a vig on every order, like the way Shopify takes 1% of our order. Take a point.
Let's do this because I could talk about this. I could talk about this all day.
Yeah, we could.
but let's kind of wrap up the next couple of slides and just make it clear to everybody that should they be interested and should they purchase it, that you're going to thoroughly explain to them exactly how it's set up
right.
and how they maintain it. Correct?
Let me add one more thing to this because it's very important. When I re-entered the e-commerce and decided to do this on a comparison shopping basis, I wanted to do it without going forward and making the mistake that I made before, or getting caught in what I'd done previously when I was in commerce. And that was where there were a lot of people who signed on with my suppliers and diluted the market and lowered the prices to the point where nobody was making any money. With Google Shopping and the comparison shopping, it enabled me a channel to compete in specifically. And one of the things I did, because I knew it's all about price with Google Shopping and the shopping portals, we developed an app called Price Optify. And what Price Optify does is it integrates with the Shopify platform, takes an export of the products, imports it into its database. It then queries it goes into the Google Shopping database and pulls out all of the prices that every one of my competitors is paying or offering for their product, looks at my product price, and based on my settings, changes my price to where I want it to be. Here's a very simple example. I buy a product for $500, I'm selling it for $800. Another store is selling it for $795. I put in the settings that I want to be 1% below the lowest price competitor. So it will automatically lower my price, so I'm always the lowest priced product. What it also does is it prevents the bottom from going out. If I know that my cost of goods is $500 and I don't want to make anything less than 30% on a product, I will set my minimum price at 130%. So if a competitor of mine is selling it for less than 130%, it won't lower my price anywhere below that. But it will lower it 1% less than the lowest price competitor. Conversely, if I'm the lowest price product and my nearest competitor is selling it for more than me, it will lift my price because I'm leaving money on the table. If I'm selling for $750 and my nearest price competitor is selling for $800, it will raise my price to $795. So I can take advantage of that. Does that make sense?
Completely. Yes.
Okay.
Moving along.
So Price Optify is an app that we use as well.
Got it. So actually, this is one last thing about on the same subject, I guess. So this is from your analytics. These are keywords that you rank for. Are these is this like if I search for wine cabinets and bars, is that going to pull you up in the shopping engine or in the actual results? I guess is the question. Because like I said, we don't see you in SEM Rush, but yet when I pull up analytics, I see all these keywords. These are probably all from Google Shopping Comparison, correct? You might.
You would know better than I. Honestly, I have not spent 1 minute.
That is my assumption. Let's just at least get this out there for everybody who's on the presentation that may be a little bit confused about this. Here is visual evidence that he's getting traffic from all these keywords. This is taken directly from the Google Analytics software, and it's probably coming from the shopping feed. So to wrap this up, tell us about a day in the life running the business. Walk us through a typical day.
A typical day, there'll be a few phone calls throughout the day of people interested in buying a specific item. They will, ask if it's in stock and what it would cost to ship. And that, like I said, a few calls a day. And then, of course, there's the follow-up, me calling the vendor, my rep, to see what's available. There may be some situations where, I have to make arrangements with a shipper that I hire to do the setup inside. The typical shipping providers do not deliver anywhere past the curb. So, for instance, we have a sofa going to Texas this week, and it's an older lady. There's no way she's going to be able to take curbside delivery. She's got to have them carry it in the house and set it up. So there is a service that we have that offers what's called white glove service. And I have to make arrangements for that and for them to do the pickup. So that might be an example. Somebody may call me and say, when do you expect something to be coming in? So I'll follow up again to see if something's on the water or if it's arrived yet. And that's it. And then, of course, product updates. If we get a newsletter or an email that something new has come out, we'll enter it. I'll enter it into the website and then update, do the price optimization and then update the feed.
So if someone asked you, if someone was buying it from you and they said, what did you always want to do to improve this thing or to make it bigger, but you didn't have the time or resources to do, how would you answer that?
Okay, that's an excellent question, and there are a variety of things that can be done. The first and obvious one is find some more vendors that satisfy the modern furniture criteria, add them to the website. So you're more things to more people. That's the first thing that I would consider doing. One of the other areas there, you can see who's abandoned their shopping cart during the checkout process, and that usually happens because they think the shipping is a little bit more than what they want to spend, or because they're expecting free shipping. So you can, contact the supplier, ask them what it would be, because you have the information of the product and the customer already, and so maybe you can recapture that order. I've done that a few times successfully. Some of the other areas for growth, I'll be honest with you. I have not devoted the time to promote the site with organic and SEO and getting onto different directories and other places where it could possibly drive more traffic. That's another area. And then expanding more shopping portals. I've really only spent time with Google, Bing, and the Find. Amazon is certainly a big one that this could be expanded to and bring in potentially more business.
All right. The only other I snuck in quite a few questions and made them sound like they were my own
Okay.
while we were moving along. The only other one really left to answer is someone had asked, did you do the graphics or does Shopify do graphics if they wanted to change any part of the design? How does that work?
Uh, well, there's not a heck of a lot of graphics on the site aside from the slider, and I made that. I made the images for that. The site is a template design, which I did buy originally, and there are other templates available if you wanted to change the look and feel. Shopify works on a template-based platform. Although, one of the things I would share is that if you do start changing things and, sales change not for the better, you may want to go back to what's already working.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think the look and feel is going to make much of a difference in boosting sales, other than maybe some social media links if you thought that would be worthwhile. But if you've got experience in that and you want to do it, I wouldn't stop. I wouldn't suggest. I wouldn't advise against it.
Fair enough. Well, that's it. Listen, I think you did a excellent job explaining all this to everyone, and I really appreciate your time. If anyone else has further questions, or they'd like to dive deeper in analytics or any of these questions, or even to schedule a call with Roger, the thing to do is to contact the listing broker, Adam Beebe. It's adam@latonas.com. Of course, as always, anyone can contact me at any time. My door is always open. My email address is rick@latonas.com. And with that, we're finished. Thank you very much, everyone.